Welcome to Channel 9 News. We want to get you to our breaking news right away.
Today there was an earthquake in Japan. On the Richter scale, it was a magnitude 9 earthquake. Breaking a seismograph record in Japan, this was the 4th worst earthquake ever recorded. There was also a deadly tsunami after that earthquake that destroyed Minto, Miami, Soma, and many other towns in Honshu, Japan. After that, Fukushima Daiichi, the nuclear power plant, had a meltdown. There was no way for it to cool off. We want to show you some footage that we got of the tsunami.
Everyone, we have been tracking the earthquake all day now with our new seismographs generously given by the NOAA seismologist. Luckily, the worst is over with the seismographs. There is chances of aftershocks, especially in the Japan area, but those will be minor compared to the devastation of both the tsunami and the earthquake we saw today. This was just devastating for everyone watching at home. An earthquake is caused by movement in our tectonic plates. Tectonic plates are underneath our ground that are constantly moving. Sometimes these plates collide and slide under or over each other. The earthquake that was in Japan was due to the plates converging and creating a transform fault line that triggered this massive earthquake. This means one plate slid under the other and the two plates got next to each other, resulting in this awful earthquake. As you can see behind me, the supercell of this monster, this affected everyone in the Pacific Ocean area, from Alaska back down to Antarctica, all the way on the North America and South America side, and on our west, the Russia, China, Australia, and Antarctica again. This thing was a nightmare that was creeping up on Japan for years now. I'll be tracking more good weather for Japan, as well as our own Massachusetts forecast later. Now I want to go to our meteorologist for more details on the disastrous events in Japan. Here's Cole, who has been covering the tsunami.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's talk about the cause of the horrible tsunami that terrorized Honshu, Japan. This tsunami happened because tectonic plates tipped up. The plate that got slid on top got pushed up and caused a lot of displacement. This displacement was powerful enough and caused a huge deadly tsunami. This enormous wave reached around 124 feet tall, and it caused over 15,853 deaths, 6,013 injuries, and made 3,283 people go missing, and destroyed and damaged around 375,000 buildings in Japan. Here's Anthony with information on the nuclear disaster that happened after the tsunami.
Thanks, Cole. Right after the tsunami, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant started to have a meltdown, and there was no way for it to cool off. The nuclear power plant's units also started to fail and even explode. If they didn't cool it off, the nuclear radiation could have gone into the water and could have killed many people. The nuclear power plant could have also exploded and killed even more people if it wasn't for the people who manually cooled their reactors down with seawater. We're lucky that nobody was killed because of the disaster. Back to you guys.
Thank you to our AccuWeather team who has been tracking this. As Ryan said, we will be continuing to keep you updated, and we will have our Massachusetts forecast later on.
Thank you, Ray. We want to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Staying with us on this tragic day.
We want to show you an exclusive Only Channel 9 News interview as Brenna Sullivan talks with geologist Dominic Masucci, as well as historian Madeline Lieberman and Ryan Sullivan about the devastation.
Thanks, Haley. I'm here with local expert geologist Dominic Masucci.
Hello.
So Dom, can you tell us why earthquakes are caused in Japan?
Well, because Japan is located on the edge of a tectonic plate called the Ring of Fire, and these plates are constantly moving and slipping. When they move or slide against each other, they release huge amounts of pepped-up energy called seismic waves. This in turn causes earthquakes.
How are tsunamis caused?
When the epicenter of the earthquake is in the ocean, it displaces huge amounts of water, and therefore creating huge waves and then creating a tsunami.
What makes tsunamis and earthquakes so dangerous?
Earthquakes are dangerous because they cause mass destruction and kill thousands. Tsunamis have the same dangers. They come into shore at speeds at about 500 miles an hour, and when they reach land, they don't stop for anything. They take out and destroy anything they see.
Okay, thanks Dominic. I'm here with historian Madeline, who has recently been studying Japan's major earthquakes. So Madeline, what was one of the worst earthquakes in Japan's history?
Well, the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923 was a hugely devastating one. 140,000 people died.
That's horrible. What are some negative effects earthquakes have caused in Japan?
Before the Great Kanto earthquake, the city of Yokohama, for example, displayed Japan's optimism for the future. It was a diverse city of 500,000 people, and there were many ideas like democracy and women's rights.
What happened to Yokohama after the earthquake?
Almost every building in the city collapsed, and fires destroyed the rest. On a social level, the earthquake triggered all kinds of rumors and accusations, like the idea that Korean immigrants were using the disaster to plot the downfall of the Japanese government. Instead of the previous liberal ideas, what was starting was the base of Japanese fascism.
That earthquake sounds very extreme. What was its magnitude?
It was 7.9 on the Richter scale.
Okay, thanks for being here today. Right now I'm with historian Ryan. He's here to tell us more about earthquakes and tsunamis in ancient Japan. So Ryan, are there any precautions people took in ancient times to try to keep people out of harm's way of tsunamis?
The people in an ancient Japanese town called Enoshi, after witnessing so many tsunamis, would put stones down at a certain point and tell people not to build their homes below these rocks. The stones stand 4 feet high, besides the only road of the small village, which lies in a narrow, cedar-filled valley leading to the ocean.
What was the biggest tsunami on record?
In 1896, there was a tsunami that reached 127.6 feet, surpassing Japan's previous record of 125.3 feet.
Is there any way that people can record earthquakes and how big they are? How do they know what the magnitude is?
They use a tool called a seismograph to record the size of an earthquake. It has a needle that shakes with the earthquake and records a chart called a seismograph that shows how big the vibrations of the needle are. The bigger the vibrations, the bigger the earthquake.
Thanks for coming in today, Ryan. Back to you guys in the studio.
We have historical coverage of ancient Japan with Michael Kabam.
I was at the palace meeting with my aristocrat advisors when the artwork on my walls began to shake and fall. I immediately knew this was an earthquake, like no other we have felt before. Then came the tsunami.
A tsunami? That must have felt even worse. How did you do it? First you survived an earthquake, then a tsunami. That's amazing. What was the tsunami like and how did you survive it?
Luckily for me, I was high enough above the water that I was in no danger, but I had to watch as my citizens washed away with the rubble of the earthquake.
A tsunami is very common after an earthquake here in Japan, so I knew that as soon as the earth had settled down from shaking, I should run and get as high in the hills as I could. I collected my family and we all dashed to the hills. Our family reached the top of the highest hill and we stood there watching as our house with our neighbors was ripped away and destroyed.
From your experience, what could have caused this earthquake?
The earthquake could be caused by a giant catfish named Namazu thrashing in the waters. If only the fish could have stayed still, then we wouldn't be in this situation.
Wow, that must be truly devastating. How do you think this earthquake will affect the future of Japan?
We will rebuild, we will get stronger. This will not stop our progress. Life in Japan might be changed, but this tsunami will be our way for us to rebuild the whole country and make it the best country in the whole world.
Wow, truly inspirational. A bright way to see this terrible tragedy. This is Michael Capone reporting from Japan in 1854. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Well, you guys, we do have sunny weather, but cold temps on the way in Japan. Temperatures will be in the 50s today and tomorrow, gradually going down. And in Massachusetts, temperatures will be slowly going down to our average temps, mid to upper 30s. We will have your full forecast at 11 o'clock news.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you at 11 for more updates.